uh, we are back this evening once again to present on the topic Child's Rights, Achimota School Refusal to Admit Students with Dreadlocks in Perspective. To give you a brief background of this particular case, I would like to tell you that, like in just 3 weeks, this case happened on the 19th of March 2021, where students, were given admission to Achimota Senior High School. They went for the prospectus and everything, they were giving admission. But when they were supposed to report on the 19th, they were being denied, I don't know, admission, okay, because of their dreadlocks. So the options were either they should go and cut the dreadlocks and come back, or they should go to a different school because Achimota was not going to admit them just because they have dreadlocks. Now they've been divided opinions on this subject matter, and our duty here with my real resource, guest today is to just look at the issue, okay, the legal issues, and then also to just talk as a ordinary man on the street, even without the law. Has there been any denial of human right that these children are entitled to? So this is basically what we do over here. Thank you so much for joining us. And my name is once again Sam Porekun. You can also watch live on YouTube at James Porekun. And I'll invite our guest. Yes, Mr. Jacob, you are welcome.
James, it's an honor to be here. To be with you once again.
Yes, we met I think 2 days ago.
Yes, on general legal awareness.
Exactly. Okay, so just to give a brief introduction of who Jacob is. Jacob is an LLB holder, that is bachelor's holder. He also works with prominent legal or law firms. He's also a businessman and then an entrepreneur.
I'm also a student too, don't forget one. But no disclosure of my school anyway.
Exactly, yes. He's also a student, and he's a hard one as well. Let me put it down, because you can't be a student and be doing all this works and whatever. Yes, so you are welcome once again, and then I'm so much proud for having you on this program.
Yes, thank you very much, James.
Cool. So let's just kick the ball. I haven't read the news, and then also I'm listening to this debate in the news or in the public domain. Let us establish from the word go or ab initio. Is there any denial of this student of admission to Achimota School?
Well, the information that articles that we had online gave us a fact that some students were denied admission into their school of placement, recently, and so.
Thank you so much, fam. This is your boy, Okay. I'm listening.
It became a topic of discussion in the public as to whether the reason for denying the admission, and also the appropriateness of the denial, as well as students with prospective students with rasta on their head. So that was the problem with the alleged disagreement between the school and the parents.
Okay, so with the application of your reasonable man's test and objectively, as you've said, can the layman's understand of what had just happened be deemed as, there's children being denied as to education as guaranteed by the 1990 Constitution. Let's be settled on this before we delve into the other aspect of it, whether legal or any other issue that's this issue topic.
I mean, obviously, for a layman, we are we have pre-informed or preconceived um, mindsets on certain things, and one of such is that we are now in uh, a world where dispensation where everybody is kind of everybody thinks is well informed about it. Therefore, certain actions you take, people will be quick to read meaning into them as to whether it's a violation of their human rights or not. And so a layman, I mean, for most of us as Ghanaians, we think that the action taken by the school is a human right, violation, particularly child rights violation. You know.
Okay, that sounds like interesting, but as you've said, others are saying that the action taken by Achimota School, the school have not erred in any way whatsoever because they have that right and then also guaranteed in the constitution. They made those making argument for the denial of this student is that it's grounded in the 1990 Constitution per Article 14, which talks about the protection of um, 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 human dignity or something like that. What do you have to say of that? Because the Article 14(1)(e), it talks about that particular, right. Because if you are below 18 years of age, there are some sort of rules that you have to comply with.
Well, as to human rights dignity, I don't think that the Constitution discriminates on basis of age or I mean something. I don't know if that is what you are trying to say, but I'm not sure that the Constitution gives there are different treatments for people who are below certain age and then people who are not. Is that the impression? Please let's establish that before I
Um,
proceed.
yes. Sorry, that was the sideline or the side title of Article 14, the protection of personal liberty. All right, and then Article 14(1)(e). Okay, so before you get better understanding of the 14(e), you have to start from the 41, which says that every person shall be entitled to his personal liberty, and no person shall be deprived of his personal liberty except in the following cases and in accordance with procedure. So we now move on to the which says that so permitted by for the purpose of the education or welfare of a person who has not attained the age of 18 years. Are you getting it? So
Yeah,
people are making that argument based on this that because these children, they are children, they are not up to that age, and to that
yeah.
extent, they should be subjected to the act of Achimota School.
Okay. Interestingly, these arguments that we are making. Okay, let me say particularly the news articles that I've come across online seeks to give the impression that these students are being denied their right to religion. Okay, and
Okay.
so yes, and so from this angle that these people are coming from against the provision on you know dignity of a child schooling. It's quite, you know, it's quite dicey because most of the time when these human rights issues come, they come from, they carefully come from an angle that if you don't understand them before proceeding, then at the end of the day, it's going to be like you are not making sense and they make absolute sense. Yes, of course, the child can be denied certain uh, rights, as you quoted from Article 14, uh, but but is it the same in terms of religion, freedom of religion? You know, that is what we should be also concerned about, because they are saying that in their Rastafari religion, that is the way uh, it is. That is their nature or something, and so letting the child by his hair is going to be against their uh, religion. So I think from that angle, when you look at it, and then maybe if we add issue from that side, then very much on point in terms of what they decided to do, the action they decided to take. But we have to reconcile the two, together. The point of view from which the parents are coming from, and then the school.
Can you repeat yourself?
I was saying that, so we have to reconcile where these two parties are coming from. So the point of view of the school and then the point of view of the parents of the child, because the parents' child are coming from a religious angle, freedom of religion, and then the school authorities, I believe, are coming from Article 14, let me see. And so we have to reconcile the two to properly tackle the issue.
But was there a denial in the first place with respect to admission? Because
It's so obvious. It was so obvious that the students were denied, let me say, not, I mean, okay, for lack of appropriate words, let me say they were denied actually from the school until they comply with the rules of the school. They did not say that because they are Rastafarians, they should not, or the Rastafarians are not allowed to school. There's that. So, baba your hair if you come to the school. You cannot come to the school with Rasta. So if you want to stay in the school, you get off the hair.
okay, okay, that's so good. Then this your point comes to rebut the argument that they were not denied in the sense that even though they were given admission, but they were only mandated to go and cut the dreadlocks and then come back. So the issue of denial has now been settled. We cannot say I've given you something, but what I've given you, you have to still perform a condition before you can enjoy what I've given you. It is indirect, so it's indirectly taking it away. All right. Yes, you're saying something.
No, have you landed? I from are we still looking at it from the layman's point of view? Because definitely that is it from the layman's point of view that these students have been denied admission, and I don't disagree with them because you know it's like from layman's point of view you are denied admission, but let me add to that layman's point of view that subject to the conditions given by the authorities. So the trial is not an absolute. You have a right to, I mean, to claim your admission if you go and then cut your hair. By anything outside that, then yes, you are denied. You are denied simpliciter.
Wow. But so legally, what are the rights that they are entitled to, even if they decide not to cut down their hair? Because they also the constitution give them that backing. They don't need to cut down their hair before
You
they can
know,
be allowed.
um, our constitution is very tolerant. It doesn't discriminate on grounds of religion. It tries to, accommodate every bit and piece of everyone's religion. But then when you consider, we are looking at human rights in terms of the rights of the child. Okay. And human rights, as we know, has been influenced by historical antecedents which we cannot do away with, and then you come considering it, what are the rights of the child in those days and what are they seeking now, so you look at these things and then you try to make uh, a point out of it. And so hello.
Yes, I'm listening.
Yes. And so I believe that these students, okay, they do have their right as a person or as they are educated. Then we ask whether this right is still valid. But I believe that they can be subjected to um, rules that are necessary to be complied with in terms of education. Of course, when you get to university, it is not like that. I don't believe any university will sack you for not for bringing Rasta to school. But then we are talking about SHS, students under 18, and as the Constitution rightly said, I think that is fair enough to deny you admission if you fail to comply.
Yes, I am listening. But don't you think that this is going to set a bad precedent? Because in the future, students, this let's assume that this student that the Ghana Education Service also come out to give a directive, all right, to the school to admit this to students with dreadlocks, all right. So don't think it is going to set a bad precedent in the sense that from there, hopefully, these students are going to proceed to the tertiary institutions, all right, or universities. And then looking at the university, you may not be necessarily prohibited from pursuing certain courses, all right. But when it comes to, for instance, if any of them wishes to pursue law, for instance, okay, will such same rights that they are enjoying now, or they are pending, like they are looking forward to enjoy, prevail, okay, or still back them in the future?
You have asked me a question that I am not so comfortable with, answering, but I'll try and see how. You, you see, as I said, okay, it is quite difficult because I believe that it's a wrong precedent that the GES is certain. I in particular think that they were so much in a hurry to respond to that issue, because I think if they had sat down to reconsider on the rules of Achimota School against the constitutional provision in Article 14, particularly with respect to as to when the rights of a child can be limited, okay, they would have come out with that message they came with to compel the school authorities to admit the students with the raster. But that's notwithstanding. I mean, it's a bad precedent because now everybody is going to go to school with something on. Yeah, of course, if I had the chance to go back to senior high school, you can imagine the kind of hairstyle I'm going to go with. But even at my level of education, I still try to make sure I am very decent as much as I can be. But I don't think that if these students should appear in some, they would we've been through and we know that we know what it is, you know. And so yeah.
So not okay. That's a very wonderful response over there. And not to cut you short, you are talking about bad precedent being set by Ghana Education Service, but you first of all also made mention of the fact that
Yes.
you know
Yeah.
the acts that Achimota School took was to some extent discriminatory. Did I quote you right?
I'm not sure I did say that their acts were discriminatory. I am
But it was
saying
wrong.
that the students are coming from one angle of the constitution, and then Achimota High School is also coming from one angle of the constitution. But of course, you know that knows where to find the law. And so, despite, I think that the problem with this whole saga is that either Achimota High School or Ghana Education Service did not avert their mind to Article 14, is it 4 of
Yeah,
the
14(1)(e).
yeah, for Article 14(1). Yes.
E.
So yes. So they did not avert their minds to that before coming out with their response, because I feel that is a solid um on which they could back
But
their
but
rules.
by the same constitution and Article 28 1 4 also I guarantee these students that be deprived of education,
Of
blah,
course, right of education. You reconcile them with a 14(1) D.
blah, blah,
Okay,
or based
because it is a clear provision.
on race or one person.
Sorry, can you please come again?
Pardon?
Can you please come again? I didn't.
So I was trying to say that if you're
Yes.
saying 1E, okay,
Mm.
justifies the act of Chimota and then the GA should have waited for some time. I'm also
Yes.
averting your mind. Article 28, 1,
Yes.
4, which also talks about the same thing that a student or a person shouldn't be deprived access to education merely on the issue of religion or other beliefs. Okay, so if you are to read that particular article, okay, in conjunction with Article 17 of the 1990 Constitution, how then do you reconcile it with 14(1)(e) of the Constitution?
Yes. I am not sure that the action by Achimota Senior High School was to, try to deny the students they are to make them denounce, for lack of a better word, their religion or religion. But we are saying that for the purposes of their education and the fact that they are minor, they have to, their rights can be limited in such instances. And so long as um, these rules by Achimota School is there so we would have to look at whether this the Constitution of Achimota High School, when you read it as a whole, is towards the best interest of the students. Okay, when we are dealing with matters of children, we always consider what is in the best interest of the child. Any action that you take legally, the action must be in the best interest of the child. And so if so long as such action is in the best interest of the child, then it is excused by law. And so I
Oh,
believe, yes, for morality, and other purpose, it would be appropriate to, you know encourage certain things, because of course there are many educational facilities that students can equally go to. So if this one doesn't, Achimota doesn't accept you, you can look somewhere else. Those days, okay, when, in fact, even now, you cannot go to government schools, primary schools or GHS with hair, some kind of hair on your head. Though if you want to keep your hair, I know those people, they go to the private school. So usually you see the rich men take their students, their children to private schools, and then you see them with nice hair. And of course, you envy, you jealous them, you wish you were like them. In some of the schools, some of us had the opportunity to go to not allow students to keep hair anyway. So it depends on the uh, rules of the school in question.
okay. Oh, that's so interesting. But you endorsing, okay, the denial. Is that so?
Well, I am that I have endorsed, or I haven't taken a position. I am looking at this from an objective point. And so you see that at a point, I look at it in favor of the students, and then at a point, it goes in favor of the school. As and when it happens, so be it. But I in particular, have not made my thing clear yet. Maybe at the end of the program, you can ask me to take my position.
Wow, that's so good. But do you think that what just happened? Okay, what just happened? Supposing it was a
Yes.
foreigner. These foreigners, they don't cut their hair. And what
Yes.
have you? Supposing it was a foreigner who encountered this problem, you'll have been facing what you are facing now.
Mm. The Ghanaian problem is something else, because there is a whole different way we see a white man in Africa or in Ghana than we see a black man in Ghana. Okay. And so I'm not sure that if it were to be a white go to Achimota have had problem. Then also let's get that I'm not sure if foreigners, a non-Ghanaian, is allowed uh, entry to government institutions in the country. And so that would also be another this thing to look at. But I think for my knowledge now that they not be allowed to proceed into
Okay,
government
okay,
institutions.
all right. Since
Yeah.
you have a firm stand with respect to the defective directive of the GES. I would like us to hammer more on that. Okay. So do you also ascribe,
Okay.
okay, do you ascribe to the assertion that because of the GES directive, it has
Mm.
defiled, what is termed as uniformity at the second tertiary, like, or the second institution cycle level, to the extent that people cannot try people cannot try to say that I'm coming from the traditionalist side, so allow me to dress anyhow to school with a long dreadlock, with a white or barefooted, what have you, with the stick, and then go to class. So what is your take on that?
That is where the problem is, because with this precedent, then everything is going to be allowed in, because if you are allowing one particular thing in, then it means that anything of that nature should be allowed in. If we look at education in this country, particularly up to the secondary school level, you realize that students are to conform to certain standards of the school. And so you go with school uniforms. There are certain uniforms that are not allowed. You went to boarding house, so you'd appreciate what I am saying, and the schools have their uniforms that everyone is supposed to wear. In fact, there is no difference, there's no colors in schools. You bring yours, me too, I bring mine, I wear this, you wear this in school. No, that is one of the basic standards of the education system in this country. And then you move on, and then you see all students are to wear this kind of shoes. High heels are not allowed. This, that. Fine. That is also. And then you come to how haircuts. Ladies, your hair well trimmed this way. Guys, this way. You don't keep head and all those things. These are rules for we minors to comply with in terms of education. But then, if now we are saying that you can come with this kind of haircut, then of course, as you are saying, traditionalists will also be compelled to come with their, what do you call it? Like mine. This one is just for a, but then you're going to see the traditionalists with some really scary blades and some things on his face, some chains and
So
all sort of. And then sometimes it will also be asserting or their rights. So it's quite unfortunate, I feel. But yes, if they are allowing that, then maybe we will be proceeding to, we'll be getting to that stage very soon.
But my challenge is what has dreadlocks has to do with the defilement of uniformity, because we could really see that the student, one of them, he was in the uniform. Okay, that one is not in dispute. All right.
Mm. My brother, I, are we seeing anything wrong with keeping cornrow or rasta on your head? Because I remember there are some, on some few occasions, I had to be cautioned on my haircut and asked to do the proper thing. And so if now I'm going to keep and then have cornrow, on my head, then of course that is far, 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 far above the belt. And the thing is, if students feel that they are on a level with their teachers, then it becomes a, they'll do all sorts of things, and then we blame our teachers for not doing their job. But of course, we want the students to have their way, okay, without considering the effect it's going to have on us. You know how Africans adapt. It's not the same way Americans adapt to in situations. Okay, so if we are trying to put us here in Ghana, and then we want to put ourselves in the Jamaican shoes, we want to put ourselves in the American shoes, then that is very wrong. That is a wrong path we are taking.
But that is
We
also their
have to,
religion. That is also their religion and guaranteed by the 1990 Constitution of Ghana. So they are entitled to enjoy that right.
yes, of course. So I mean that is where I said the clash is, because they are talking about religion. Some people are talking about Achimota is talking about their rules. Yes, then above all, it still comes back to Article 14(1) E of the Constitution, which allows the restriction of rights of children below, certain age for, you know, for their education. And as I said earlier, these must be done towards, or in achieving the good of the child. And so if we can consider these to be in the best interest of the child, then I think it is appropriate. And let's not forget that you have your rights. You have your right to do whatever uh, is within your rights. But then, in exercising such, you should make sure that you do not interfere in someone else's. Okay, and
But okay,
so
so what
yes,
harm? What harm? Okay, if any,
yes.
will these children with dress laws going to cause? I mean, students they are living with.
The problem is, as I said, this is Africa in which we are. Now, if one child takes dreadlocks to school and then his other colleagues see him, of course, nowadays, sorry, I said dreadlocks, Rasta. I am sure if we take 10, we line up 10 boys and we ask them whether or not all of them want to keep Rasta, I'm sure that we are going to get at least one person from the 10 to say that they want to keep Rasta. So it means if we allow
But yeah,
this one
okay,
bring,
okay, they have the right to join. To join, it's a religion. We've already established that it's a religion, so they have the right to
yes,
join that religion. Okay, yeah.
yes,
So will that
yes.
amount to any harm?
That is what, in fact, to kill it straight. It it is going to, I feel it is going to corrupt public morals, especially among students, because going to be fair, mm, you know, that's that it's really hard to see that where these people are coming from, and then where Achimota, the school authorities are also coming from. That is the true this thing. But then, sorry, I'm just being biased towards them, the students, but they have a valid angle they are coming from anyway. That is undeniable. But then Achimota High School also has a valid angle at which they are coming from. But at the end of the day, those are religious uh, ascriptions, which they definitely they have to adhere to.
All right.
Yes,
So you are saying Achimota have a valid point, all right, not in dispute.
yes,
But
yes,
when they were making the denial, it wasn't mentioned anywhere whatsoever that they are making reference to Article 41E of the 1920 Constitution. They said that the school rules and regulation does not permit them. So to that extent, looking at the hierarchy of laws that you have in Ghana, of which you are very much aware of, the Constitution is the
yes.
green law, is the supreme law of the land. So how would the school's regulations, okay, now try to supersede that of the supremacy principle as established in the 1920 Constitution of Ghana?
Yes, so as you rightly said, the 1992 Constitution is the supreme law of the country, and any law which is found to be consistent with the Constitution is going to be null and void. But then I did say earlier that a good lawyer knows where to find the law, and if Achimota or the GES had done, I believe they had done a good job. Maybe they could have found a solace in Article 14(1)(e) of the Constitution, okay, and then try to play around that to see if it would work for them. But coming out like that, because that has been the practice all those years. So I don't think that uh, they are actually they are the school rules as ultra varies the Constitution, because that's what I'm saying. They can seek solace in 14 1E for a while, and then we see what comes out. Of course, if they have to go to court and the court has to do its interpretation, so be it. And what it comes out with, then we take it as the position of the law. So we know the law is clear on that. But then aside that, I think they can also hide behind that and see if that will work. The parents, I mean, the students are, I said earlier, they are very, usually when people are fighting on human rights, from tangent of human rights, they are really crafty. And so for you to, by the time you even identify what they are actually up to, you might have been caught up in some web be that you find it difficult to come out from. And so yes, that's it.
All right. So you are saying, okay, you are saying that looking at the what has been in existence, if practice maybe cutting down our hair for some long, time and what have you. I also have, I also know of, some African countries, okay, where dreadlocks are allowed, and for instance, South Africa, I have a colleague there who have admitted to this, that there are some people that even Caesars has never entered or touched their hair before, and they are allowed to sit in classroom, have their education without any hindrances whatsoever. So why is it a problem here? And yeah, argument is that we are not used to it. It is alien to us. All right. But the
Mm.
constitution also provides for us to enjoy that. But the mere fact that we're not enjoying it, but doing otherwise, that's also to some extent, I mean, we should deny, people from enjoying that right, because they are always the first step, okay, to enjoying something, and this could be one of them.
With the issue of South Africa students and Ghanaian students, South Africa is a country that tolerates a whole lot of things. There are countries in Africa who have different beliefs and different aspirations to that of Ghana. Okay, some have tried to be very tolerant to foreign culture that wasn't present in our historical development, and South Africa is one of such countries. In fact, LGBTQI is very legal there. Things that you don't do here is actually present in South Africa. And so I'm not surprised, but using South Africa angle, with a Ghanaian angle would be quite difficult to reconcile, because I believe that South Africa is way they are coming from a different angle, and we are coming from a
Okay.
different angle. And my only fear
Exactly. I
is
think
that at the end of the day, it's going to look like the Ghanaian as a Ghana as a country is trying to be intolerant to a whole lot of things. Don't forget that the same laws that these people are hiding behind to do all sorts of things, okay, whether positive or negative, is the same law that recognizes our traditional or our cultural aspirations, okay, such that anything or anything done within the constitution must reflect the cultural values, morals. Okay, and so these are things that even influence some of the things that influence the interpretation of the constitution. And so I don't think that we will just allow our cultural aspirations to wash down the drain on the thing of being tolerant to anything that comes in. Of course, we should be allowed space to also champion uh, cultural values as a country.
all right. But I would also like to also remind you that I made reference to South Africa because when you were talking about the fact that it's a practice, or you generalize it by saying that Africa. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to draw attention to the fact that some
Yes,
African
I of
countries.
course I don't have problem with you introducing South Africa at all. Yes, of course, it's good we look at these things from different this thing. I was just trying to say that though I mean it's a good this it's good that you introduced South Africa so we know what is going on there. But you know we have different aspirations. That's why I said they are tolerant, and it looks like their culture is tolerant. They are able to quickly adjust and adapt. But the Ghanaian culture, that's why I said I'm afraid it will look like the Ghanaian culture is not trying to make room for a foreign one to come into and then dilute it or something of that sort.
Okay, okay, that's a fair comment. That's a fair comment. So will you be surprised, okay, to see Achimota School not complying with the directive, because per one of the identification, GES is saying that even though they are parents, but so far as can keep their hair they should permit them, they should admit them. They shouldn't be, denied that opportunity. So what do you think of this directive? Should they refuse to comply with, or if they comply with, what would be your opinion on that?
Well, from an ordinary point of view, so long as GES is the parent body of schools in this country, whatever they say, whatever action they take, whatever decision they take in respect of any institution is going to be sort of final. Um, there is a disagreement which will call for a superior force to intervene. But so long as they have made their point, it is like the court uh, compelling a body to carry out something that they are supposed to do. And so if that is what the GS is saying, I mean, so be it. They cannot defy the what do you call it? The orders
So so can't
of
okay, so can't the school also refuse to go by the directive and also seek further clarification in the competent court of jurisdiction to the
no, the school cannot this I believe the school cannot take any cannot defy that order on any ground because GES is there regulating body. In fact, when GES came out that teachers should be dancing in class to for students if they are I learned if they are teaching them they have to always make illustrations and all that. So you see a teacher now, a comedian, and that is the order. You cannot, I believe you cannot go against it. But well, if you have a problem, I think you can still proceed to a court of competent jurisdiction. But I mean, as I said, making this comment on from an ordinary man's perspective, is going to, I believe it might cause a whole lot of trouble for the authorities of the school because they are not independent. Okay, they are still under GES, and so if you are not careful, you want to fight your the umbrella under which you are challenging.
so okay, they have the right to fight
But yeah,
for that right, but
so
because they are
let me
under the
sorry.
control. Mhm.
Let me add that yes, from there that was an ordinary, but then from the legal perspective, I I think that so long as the students are coming from one side of the constitution to claim their rights to religion, then they must be allowed to enjoy their right. Okay, and so this the upper hand because that's a religious um, angle they are coming from. Yes, unless we would want to hold to uh, historical traditional value to do otherwise. Yeah.
Okay, that is fine. That is fine. I do point and everything, all the arguments, but to me, I don't ascribe to the fact that um Achimota School never erred because I think there is everything wrong with that action that he took against the children. All right, because one way or other, being denied to access education, which is guaranteed by the Constitution, and then this decision they made was premised on the fact that they have dreadlocks. Okay, and then dreadlocks is their religion. That's the religion they practice. Okay, so that
Well,
decision.
I am not so much privy to what goes on in whatever religion they are coming from. Whether it is, I don't know if the Rastafari is a religion. I haven't done so much research into that, so I can't speak to the fact that Rastafari is a religion. And so we would have to even ascertain in the first place what kind of religion that is before we even proceed, whether to ascertain whether it's a religion in itself, actually, because you find everyone comes and says that this is a religion and so we must uphold it. This is a religion, this is culture, we must uphold it, and so we must first of all ascertain, because Rastafari or Rastafarian, I don't know what religion it is not something that we the Ghanaian people grew with, historically. And so meaning that we be well sure, we must well ascertain whether that is even a religion, first of all, because I know people who use weed and all those things, and so if weed people are also coming and they say that this is a religion, then you can imagine what we are accepting, you know.
Okay.
And so yes,
Okay.
let's keep.
That's a fair comment. That's a fair
Mm,
comment, but there's a whole lot of debate. I mean, revolving around this subject matter, as to whether or not Rastafarians they belong to a religion or not. But if you read from the internet, it comes to buttress the fact that Rastafarian is a religion. All right, it's a religion. It's a religion. Rastas are monothesis.
I
Okay, worshiping
sorry,
a singular God whom they call Jah. Okay, so the term Jah is a shortened version of Jehovah. Okay, the name of God in English versions of the Old Testament, and it goes on and on and on. So maybe it might not be so. Old to us. It might be alien to us, but you have to accept the fact that this some people they're of alleging to something which they call is so a religion. Are you getting it?
I
So
I don't want to associate myself with any internet post, about whatever they are saying. But unless that such authority that you are referring to is an authority enough to establish or to ascertain those people where they are coming from. But aside that, anything outside that, I think I wouldn't want to accept that. But maybe it is a call on me to go and do some uh, research as well on this, to know if these people, it's Rastafari racism is a religion properly so.
all right, to me, there was to me, I think everything the school did, I think it wasn't right because what does cutting off the dreadlock has to offer? Whether you cut or you don't cut, that's what the person has in his coconut or his head is what you have. Consider the brain of the person,
Can you
not the
imagine?
outlook of a particular person. I get it. So you have to move beyond some physical discriminations and then tackle the main issues. Okay, so that is my view on that. And then also to make reference to the Constitution, Article 28, 1, 4, and then Article 17. If I had to read these constitutional provisions together, okay, I'll just oppose it and then apply it against Article 14, 1E, to mean that they should be entitled to have their dreadlocks on without any hindrances whatsoever. Because the mere fact that they are below 18 years shouldn't deprive them of something that they are entitled to. So, having said that, what are your last comments? Yeah, time is
Well,
fast spent. And before you give
yes,
your
my,
last,
my last comments to
okay,
what you my last comments to hear from what you just said, that they shouldn't it shouldn't be their age shouldn't be a ground for the discrimination. I think so long as the constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, has made it clear, so be it. It is the constitution which in itself is discriminating, and so long
but
as it is the
the
constitution,
same
I'm not
constitution
sure
also
that.
guarantee them the rights.
that particular 141D 1E, okay, it defines or it qualifies something, and it's saying that this such under 18 people can be denied their right in the course of their education and education only. So I want to ask you, don't go, but so long as for the purposes of your education, it is necessary. Of course, if you're in the house going around, nobody at Achimota School cannot come to you in the house and say that, hey, because you're under 18, go and cut your hair. It is towards a particular thing. It could have said, religion, or when you are serving sentence in prison, or when you are in custody as a child or something. But it's saying specifically education, and so be it. And so yes, I would say that my last comment, sorry, this is a two-sided coin. Always when it comes to law, you find out that each side of the argument has a point. It is he or she's, they are coming from, whether based directly in law or indirectly in law, and such. In this particular instances, I think that the students have they are coming from a stronger angle, which would be quite difficult, as you tend to agree with them.
All right, that is fine. Yes, I've heard you. Thank you so much, Mr. Bani, for coming on this particular show. Yes, my name is James Sampurikun once again, and we are introduced to my cherished viewers. God bless you all and keep watching. This wonderful program. We are here to educate, and then to inform and then to entertain. Today's topic was basically premised on the ongoing, Achimota Buha, okay, with respect to the school denying, some two students on dreadlocks or with dreadlocks. So we've digested the legal issues therein. We've also spoken about how the layman or the reasonable man on the Medina Trust will consider it to be. All right. So I thank you. I thank you all. Making time with us, and then keep watching me in the subsequent days to come. You can also watch me live on YouTube at James Sankurit. We are streaming also live on YouTube. Yeah, so sometimes you can watch me on Facebook. You can also watch me on YouTube. God bless you all and have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.